this is Manindrago from Batam. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
I'm Sela Sadakau from Vatukola. I only listen to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold Naka, I'm Vale and I'm working at Golden Pro Resort, and I love listening to Gold FM because it plays a really wide range of classic music.
I'm Saini Sakio from Kashmir Wotoka. I like Gold FM, but only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Good evening, I'm Jackie Spade. This is FBC News. Tonight, historic achievement for Fiji as Peter Thomson elected President of the United Nations General Assembly. Indian surgeons here to help Fijians suffering heart problems. And government to look at ways to protect the rights of disabled persons. Fiji's permanent representative to the UN, Ambassador Peter Thomson, has been elected President of the United Nations General Assembly. It's a first for Fiji and the region. With the support of 94 member states, Ambassador Thomson says issues of climate change and the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals will be at the forefront of his tenure. Maggie Boyle with the story.
Number of votes obtained. His Excellency Peter Thomson of Fiji, 94. His Excellency Andreas Mavroyiannis of Cyprus, 90.
A narrow win, but a historic moment indeed. President-elect Ambassador Thomson cutting to the chase on his intention to use the UN platform for change.
We bring the Pacific SIDS, we bring special perspectives on climate change and on oceans issues. And you can expect me to be vocal on those in the 71st session. But let me say that while this is a SIDS and G77 supported presidency, I want to assure everyone that this is a presidency for the whole House.
And while his pacificness was clear, he also reiterated the importance of a collective front.
For us in the 71st session, the implementation of that Sustainable Development Agenda, that is the high purpose of the 71st session, to get momentum on that agenda. By the end of the 71st session, we must be accountable. We must have progress on all 17 of the SDGs.
Accolades on his appointment followed accordingly.
I'd like to offer my warmest congratulations to the new President-elect of the General Assembly, His Excellency Mr. Peter Thomson, Permanent Representative of Fiji. He will have an opportunity to build on the extraordinary progress we have seen.
You bring to this position extensive experience, working directly with matters of rural development and engaging for many, many years now in multilateralism and international affairs.
On Twitter, UNDP's head Helen Clark and shortlisted candidate for the UN's top job called his appointment a feather in Fiji's cap. The president-elect concluding his acceptance speech in true Fijian spirit.
Tonight, we will sit down at the Fiji Mission, we will drink kava together, and we will sing a lot of Pacific Island songs. You're all welcome to come along and join us there.
Ambassador Thomson will take over the presidency in September. During his session, he will preside over the appointment of a new UN Secretary General, as well as deal with a number of pressing issues before the UN. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama says the election of Fiji's permanent representative to the United Nations, Peter Thomson, as President of the UN General Assembly is a great honour for Fiji. Bainimarama says Thomson's selection provides a unique platform to highlight issues of critical concern to Fiji and the vulnerable economies, such as building our resilience to climate change and ensuring the sustainable development of our natural resources on land and at sea. The Prime Minister says it is a measure of Fiji's standing in the world that the majority of nations support our candidacy. Bainimarama congratulated Thomson on behalf of every Fijian. Minister for Foreign Affairs Ratuinoke Kumbombola says this is great news for Fiji, unprecedented and historic, and shows what teamwork can do. Child labour is an escalating problem across all societies, and the Fijian government is intent on fighting this with education. Education Minister Dr. Mahendra Reddy says it is heartbreaking to see children not given the privilege and treatment they rightfully deserve. Eleanor Torangaivu with this report.
The misuse, exploitation and forced labour of children endanger their health, well-being, safety and innocence. Minister for Education Dr. Mahendra Reddy is calling for a stop to such practices.
The magnitude of oppression and exploitation that our children face has become more intensive and has grossly spread out in all sectors of the economy. Therefore, it becomes our shared responsibility to establish a drive to save our children from the clutches of those who feed on their innocence.
Speaking at a student seminar on child labour in Lambasa this morning, Dr. Reddy says school dropouts contribute to an imperfect labour market where they do not have a bargaining power on wages and terms of conditions of work.
Children belong to the school, and that is where they must be. That is precisely why we have made it compulsory that all children must be supported to gain education till year 12.
This seminar, which is for secondary school students from across Wonolebu, will focus on areas such as ending child labour in supply chains, the overview of relevant national laws, understanding child labour and its consequences, and actions to eliminate child labour. Eleanor Torangaivu, FBC News.
At least 3 heart patients will be operated on daily by a team of specialists from India. The open heart surgery started at the Colonial War Memorial Hospital this morning. Farzana Nisha has more.
Cardiac surgeon Dr. Chandrasekhar Kulkarni, who has been operating for the last 12 years, says he has done 67 plus successful surgeries and hopes the trend continues.
We should be able to deliver on what we are trying to aim. Most important, what we want is basically quality health care without compromising any of the safety issues, because safety is of prime importance, and every patient whom we operate either here or outside teaches us something.
Sayadri Specialty Pacific Hospitals Limited Director Manu Munibhargav says another year or two things can improve to a stage where the team can be here for 365 days.
Now the country like Fiji or the neighboring countries, now the diagnostic scenario here has improved a lot in last 3 to 4 years. Earlier, even for angiogram, patients used to be referred overseas. Today, the angiograms are performed here.
The heart surgery team is being brought into the country by Sayadri Specialty Pacific Hospitals Limited under a joint venture agreement with the Health Ministry in Fiji.
This is the team's second visit this year, and they are targeting to operate on at least 40 patients before they leave at the end of the month. Farzana Nisha, FBC News.
Government will look at ways to protect the rights of disabled persons in the workforce. Madhyam Bolaitamana reports this is aimed at ending the way that many have been marginalised in the past.
The 2016-17 budget consultation has attracted people from all walks of life. Those living with disabilities also gave their views, many highlighting the difficulty of finding a job because of their physical or mental status.
A gentleman who said that there's the same level of work, he's deaf, but the employer pays him less compared to those people who are not deaf. So, these are some of them are to do with values, some of them are to do with perhaps better legal implementation, or probably bring about more a better legal framework.
But it does not end there. The discrimination has been widespread, and public service providers are one of the biggest culprits, according to those gathered here.
Some bus drivers or bus companies, for example, won't stop for them because they have crutches or they're disabled, or won't, or abuse them. And we had a similar sort of feedback in Suva too, in the Central Division, where apparently some taxi drivers won't stop for people who are willing to pay the right fare.
Syed Qayyum says while laws are in place, their implementation and policing is something the government will look at in the future. Madhyam Bolaitamana, FBC News.
Coming up on FBC News, Sangam School begins the first ever Bachelor for Nursing program. a new device to assist people living with disabilities. Stay with us.
FM rocks. My name is Denasa and I'm from Lutoka and I love listening to Today FM.
My name is Hulamila. I work at Golden Point Resort. I love listening to Today FM. It rocks in Raki Raki.
I'm Mary from Mandera. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
We love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. The first Bachelor of Nursing bridging program for the country is now being undertaken at the TISI Sangam School of Nursing in Lambasa. Launched yesterday, the new program is expected to further upskill current nurses. Eleanor Tarangaivu reports.
The TISI Sangam School of Nursing in Lambasa has adopted a program that will directly cater for the existing need of upskilling current nurses and better equipping them. Health Minister Dr. Chone Usamate says the new program will serve all nurses.
You will be given the extra competency, extra knowledge that will allow you to be able to give of yourself in full.
Commending the school, Usamate says TISI Sangam has successfully churned out nurses that are already absorbed into the health services.
We have 512 nurses in total have been trained. I think out of the 2,600 or 2,700 nurses that we have within the ministry, that's quite a substantive number. It's about 20% of all the number that we have. So congratulations to the school for being able to produce that.
TISI Chairman of Academic and Staff Board, Amraya Naidu, says they hope the new program will help change significantly the delivery of health services in the country.
We want to equip our serving nurses who acquired some knowledge years back, and it is important that we upgrade that knowledge so that we are in sync with what is happening in the modern times in the healthcare services.
About 60 nurses are already enrolled in the program. Eleanor Turangaivu, FBC News.
The alleged abductor of a 14-year-old student has been acquitted in the Suva Magistrates Court. It was alleged that 26-year-old Rohit Kumar abducted the girl 2 months ago. However, medical examination on the girl revealed Kumar did not have carnal knowledge of her and all charges were dropped. Support provided by the Vodafone ATH Fiji Foundation will help address the needs of the disabled in Fiji. Today, Vodafone ATH donated mobility devices worth more than $40,000 to the Ministry of Health. Savara Tamboa has the details.
These are the new aids that will be of great help to the disabled at various health facilities. Sanimili Naivalu and Lakoba Tabiraniko are grateful for the assistance and appreciate the benefit they have received.
It's a privilege for me looking at it, thinking about all persons with disability around Fiji, and it's a need.
And especially for us getting a disability, we are more acknowledged or something like that we are supported by.
The handover of these mobility devices by the Vodafone ATH marks another level of strengthened relationship with the Ministry of Health, which will be of great benefit to disabilities around the country. Vodafone ATH Board of Directors Arun Nazi says the NGO is more than happy to provide help in addressing the need of the disabled.
We are aware that the needs of the community are growing due to NCD, and we are more than happy to be able to provide support in areas that matters most.
Inception in 2004, the NGO, Vodafone ATH, has provided grants of about $18 million. Sabira Tambua, FBC News.
International Yoga Day will be celebrated at 3 different venues in Fiji later this month. The first Yoga Day was a success, with Fiji being the first in the world to mark the Yoga Dawn last year. The 21st of June has been declared by the United National General Assembly as International Day of Yoga. This year it will be celebrated in Lautoka, Lambasa and Suva. Art of Living Yoga instructor Ramba Maharaj says yoga is taking a holistic approach towards health and well-being.
Yoga is the study of life. It is the study of body, breath, mind, intellect, memory, and ego. With the practice of yoga, the body becomes very strong, externally and internally.
And now with the latest in sports, here's Jamie.
Nakataki and hi again in sports after the break. Pacific unions hold positive discussions with World Rugby. And Bamba Singh Alliance ready to defend Fiji FA title. This and more coming up.
आपको करगंगा के रंजिला का नमस्कार। रेडियो फिजी की सुंदर सुंदर यादों का खजाना एकदम बचपन के दिन याद करा देते हैं।
हमारा नाम जोनी नायडू है, हम रहता है मलोरो में और हम टैक्सी ड्राइवर है। हम सब टाइम अपन टैक्सी में रेडियो फिजी 2 सुनता प्रोग्राम।
हम सिंगाचोका के हैं, हमारा नाम है रोजी। हम लोग यहाँ पे रेडियो फिजी 2 सुनता है।
राम राम, मैं रेमस प्रसाद बोलता हूँ, तब होता मैं कोई रहता हूँ। मैं जब भी सुना रेडियो फिजी 2 ही सुनता हूँ।
रेडियो फिजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
The Fiji Rugby Union hosted the World Rugby Council Committee's first meeting in the Pacific yesterday. The FRU and unions from Samoa and Tonga shared their thoughts with the top brass on how the sport can become healthier in the Pacific. Rohit Deo with the story.
An evening when the biggest names of world rugby were in Fiji to help the Pacific Islands nations develop the sport, and it was no surprise hosting a leg of the World 7 Series was on the agenda.
I don't see any reason at all why Fiji should not, host a round of the 7 Series here, because, what better place is there to come? Nice people, the sun shines, you've got a nice sort of good stadium.
Lamont adds more international matches for Fiji will improve the standard of the Flying Fijians, and this is highly likely to happen in the near future.
One thing that will improve Fijian rugby is by playing more international fixtures, and I think that is something that I know Mark Egan, who works at World Rugby, has spent a lot of time trying to do.
He adds that World Rugby has been funding development programs in this region and is ready to pour in more funding.
We will continue to fund at the same levels of the Pacific Islands, and if there's any developments that they might have for capital infrastructure, then we will look at that on an individual basis.
All Blacks legend Richie McCaw represented the Players Committee and says the Pacific Islands Players Association is doing its best to look after the welfare of players.
You can't begrudge guys to have an opportunity, but you want to make sure that they're looked after where they go, that they get the right support. And I know Pippa, the Players Association for the Pacific Islanders, are really working hard to make sure the guys that sign contracts really understand what they're signing, and so they get an opportunity, but so they get an opportunity to come back and play for their national team. That's what you want to see.
Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama acknowledged the parent body for choosing Fiji as the host for the meeting.
But it is a great honor to have played host to you in Fiji for the first ever meeting in the Pacific Islands of the World Rugby Committee. Just as it is an honor to host the union representatives from Tonga and Samoa, Fiji's rival in the Pacific Nations Cup.
World Rugby will invest around $11 million this year in the Pacific for the development of the game. Rohit Deo, FBC Sports.
The Vodafone Flying Fijians camp has been hit with a conjunctivitis outbreak as they prepare to take on Samoa in the Pacific Nations Cup on Saturday. Coach John McKee says the affected players are under medical care and hopes are that they will recover in the next 2 days. Vaishnav Prasad reports.
As we all thought that Zika virus had left us, it has yet again hit the Flying Fijians camp, with some regular players down with the virus.
Yes, there's a little bit of conjunctivitis going around. We don't expect it to be too bad. We've isolated the players and they're on the medication, so I'd expect I expect them to be right for later in the week.
But that hasn't dampened the spirits of the other players and the coaching panel. With Samoa next up on the list, the team is working hard to improve on the areas exposed by the Tongans in the Pacific Nations Cup match.
And to put a few things into place that we've talked about. You saw us working on our defence and also on our set plays. And this afternoon we'll start to put our attacking game together.
With coaches busy on rectifying mistakes from the Tonga match, players also know it's time to improve their performance.
We have to step up a bit. So this week I think it's going to be, we have to go up to another level with our training and with our preparation.
The Flying Fijians meet Samoa at 3 p.m. at the ANZ Stadium. Pashnil Prasad, FBC Sports.
Meanwhile, the side also admits they need to put in a more polished effort against Samoa. Players say they can't afford to have another slow start like they did in the match against Tonga last Saturday. Pashnil Prasad again.
Halfback Henry Seniloli says they are working hard to rectify areas which proved to be a major concern in the match against Tonga.
As we come into the training, once we wear our boots, our mind starts to switch on, and that's why we started late. A game against Tonga, we didn't switch on in the first half. So now, as we pass the white line, we start switching on.
The Nipi number 9 says he's putting in a grand effort to better his game.
I have to work a little bit on kicking game, in the 50-50 balls and the exit plays.
Lock Api Ratunia Rawa and Waiseanea the Levu are the two latest inclusions joining camp today.
The boys are looking to combine well for this game, and I think it's a big game for us this week. So we need to polish up where we left off last week.
Ratunia Rawa, who plays his trade in France, believes Samoa will try to outpace the Fijians in the forwards.
Their team, they are forwards-oriented team. They have a big guys up there. So we're gonna have to match them physically, and I think with the team we have, we're gonna be up to the battle this week.
Fiji hasn't beaten Manu Samoa in 2 years, and it will take a giant effort to change that at Lautala. Pashnil Prasad, FBC Sports.
A squad from Georgia is also in the country for the PNC and went through its first training run in Subo today. The visitors will be looking forward to winning their first test match after being held at 19-all against Samoa in Apia last weekend. The team has an impressive forward pack and hopes to beat Tonga on Saturday. Georgia and Tonga meet at 12 p.m. at ANZ Stadium. And in the latest World Rugby rankings, the Flying Fijians have moved up a position after beating Tonga 23-18 last Saturday. The John McKee coach side sits at 10th position and is the best ranked team in the Pacific. Tonga is in 13th place while Samoa sits on 15th position. Meanwhile, there is a change in the top 3 with England climbing to 3rd place and South Africa slipping a spot down. New Zealand remains the world number 1 team. A new gym at the Uprising Beach Resort is expected to be ready for use in the next 2 weeks. This will be just in time for the Vodafone Fiji Sevens and TFL Fijiana sides to use in preparation for the Rio Olympics. Resort General Manager James Pridgen says they have fast-paced construction works to have it completed on time.
From the week of the 20th, both teams will be at the Uprising Beach Resort for the first time. So I think having the gym on site is going to definitely be an added bonus for them. We do have our other gym with some basic equipment that's in there that they've been using in the past, but we really want to see this gym completed and the equipment that's been donated by South Bay Davui and globally funded to come through.
The Fiji 7 side to play at the Rio Olympics is expected to be named on the 18th of next month. The two northern teams playing in the 2016 Vodafone Fiji FA Tournament are well prepared to take on their rivals from Viti-Levu come this weekend. Lambasa and Reketi both want the Fiji FA trophy to stay in Vanuatu. Eleanor Turangevi reports.
Defending Fiji FA champions, the Mbambasing Alliance, are ready for Friday when the tournament kicks off at Subrel Park in Lambasa. Team coach Johan Liwai says they have been training vigorously for the past few weeks.
I know the people of Lambasa are excited about the tournament being held here in Subrel Park after so many years. And I know they will come out in huge numbers, and we'll be there not to disappoint them.
One of their under-18 stars is likely to debut on Friday. On the other hand, underdogs Ndreketi will also be fielding a new player in the tournament. Team manager Runil Ram says they hope to make the semi-finals.
We know we are going in as the underdogs, and our main aim in this tournament is not to go home empty-handed. We are going to try our best to give the smile on the fans of Ndreketi come the end of pool play.
Ndreketi plays Nandi in the opening match of the Fiji FA Tournament at 3 p.m. on Friday. Later on at 7:30 p.m, Lambasa plays Nandonga in its first pool game. Eleanor Torangeview, FBC Sports.
Fiji is ready to host the Hockey World League Round 1 competition later this month. This is the third time we will host a regional meet with 5 teams competing in the men's division and 4 battling it out in the women's competition. Fiji is the favourites to take both.
The draws are now subject to finalization. It's just been sent through to Switzerland yesterday. Once the FIH approves it and it's sort of allowing the rest time, etc., then that's the draw as will happen in 2 weeks' time.
The winners from each division will qualify for round 2, which will be held early next year. That's it from Sports Tonight. Good evening.
The government has extended the reduction of a number of fiscal and import excise duties on building materials until the end of this year. This is to assist with rebuilding efforts in the aftermath of Tropical Cyclone Winston. The concessions are available to all companies and individuals. However, in order to qualify for the concession, consignments must leave the country of origin by the 31st of December. Conditions were fine in most parts of the country today, with morning showers about the south and east clearing to a sunny day. Temperatures stayed mild throughout the day, with Nandi, Lautoka and Lambasa being the warmest centres at 30 degrees, whereas Suva and Savo were in the high 20s. Tomorrow will be much the same as today, with mostly sunny skies across Fiji and no significant rain except for the chance of overnight or early morning showers in the east. And looking ahead to Thursday, chance of brief showers in the north. The rest of the country should remain dry. At sea, southeast winds gusting up to 20 knots with moderate to rough conditions. Recapping the main stories for tonight, historic achievement for Fiji as Peter Thomson elected as President of the United Nations General Assembly. Indian surgeons here to help Fijians suffering with heart problems, and the first ever Bachelor for Nursing bridging program is now being undertaken at the TISI Sangam School of Nursing in Lambasa. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. On to this week's poll question, we are asking, do you think some overseas media are biased while reporting on Fiji? To answer, visit our FBC website. Be sure to send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us by Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Jackie Spate. Good night.
Alango Katonasia Tutua, Omonia Saulara, although we will take you on a TV and a market Tawa. Although Talitana, Warrona, Bula FM, and Nambandu and a set.
Pulamana Viti, Nadango Palacio Materia, one may Nanan Bulu Tabiuni, Ausatuga Nandi, and the Talita in Warrongo and a Bula FM. Bula!
Bula FM, number 2 and seri.